Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a winter sunset landscape with some pine trees and the sun peeking over the mountains. It's going to be probably a mid-level difficulty painting. I'm going to try to simplify it as much as I can, but it's got a somewhat complicated composition for the sky and the mountains there. So but I'll try to do it step by step, so it'll be easy for you guys to follow along. I've got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's managing chat for our live show, so if you've got questions, you can ask those. This is our Patreon special bonus show for the month of November 2018, so thanks to all our patrons who are watching and who have helped make this possible today. So let's get started. Okay, so this is my reference photo here, and I feel like this has gotten kind of crooked there. I guess that's right. It was it was almost a square, so I decided to go with an 8x10. The 9x12 obviously is a little bit longer than the 8x10. You know, it's got 1 inch more this way, but it's got 2 inches more this way. So I thought this one would be closer to square and closer to the size of our actual reference image. We're going to have to elongate it just a little bit, and then we'll bring this tree up just a little bit so that we don't lose the bottom of it. But that's why I chose the 8x10 canvas. You can still do it on a longer canvas if you want to. You'll just have to extend out the sides and kind of extend these mountains out a little bit on either side and maybe add a couple pine trees. But I'm using the 8x10 inch Belgian linen canvas board by Fredrix. They're our canvas sponsor, so thank you to them. And I'm going to be using just a few brushes today. Actually, this is the wrong one. I wanted the number 8. So number 8 bright, number 4 Filbert, number 1 round in the 6100 series in this Princeton brushes, and then the Willow's blenders. I've really been enjoying these. We're going to be using these for the clouds mostly, and maybe some on the trees, we'll see. 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch Willow's blenders, the 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch angle shaders, and then those are the VelvetTouch line in the Princeton. And then the number 1 round, possibly. I'm not sure if we're going to need that or not, but I thought maybe on some of the pine trees we might need it. Bristle fan and 3/8 inch Deerfoot Stippler. So those are going to be our main brushes, I think. Let's go over our colors really quick. I've got, what color is that? Let me use this. Zinc White, Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium, Yellow Medium, Yellow Oxide, Phthalo Blue Green shade. This is light Ultramarine Blue. That's just Ultramarine Blue plus white, so you don't have to have that. Just mix up a little bit of white with it, with some Ultramarine Blue, and you'll have that. This is the Ultramarine. And this is Prussian Blue. This is also a mixable color, so if you don't have Prussian Blue, I'll show you how to mix it. This is Dioxazine Purple, Burnt Sienna, and Burnt Umber. So just kind of our basic palette. I added the Prussian Blue because that's really the color that our pine trees are going to be in these deep shadows here. It's that deep, dark blue. It's got Dioxazine Purple, Phthalo Blue, and a little bit of black. So that's all you need to mix it. And you can actually use Ultramarine Blue and black, since Ultramarine Blue is very similar to these Dioxazine Purple and Phthalo Blue together too. So either one will work. All right, I guess that was out. Let's talk about the composition just a little bit. So it's fairly simple, but we've got some. It's kind of interesting the way the sky is done, because these mountains are so faint, and then this the sun is peeking out over the top. So there was 2 ways that I could do this, and I kind of was debating back and forth. One would be to paint the whole background, and that's the way I decided to go ahead and do it. I'm going to paint all of the sky together, so I'm not going to have to try to paint around these mountains. And then I'm going to paint the mountains in later, and then I will go back over with a glaze of the Zinc White to kind of fade out just these edges really close. The other way would be to paint around the sky, paint around the mountains, paint those mountains in, and then do the other. So it's a subtle difference, but I think that doing the sky first and not really worrying about where these mountains are is going to give us a better sky. And we're going to bring this color down all the way down into these mountains down here where, because we want it to look kind of soft, and it'll be harder to get this looking soft if we paint it in different steps. I don't know. It's not making sense when I'm saying it, but hopefully it will once we get working. So the sun is going to be, if you split your canvas in half this way, and then split that again in half here, right? So we're on the quarter mark at the very top of the quarter of the canvas, and then you come down to, well, there's the halfway mark right there. You're going to come over just a little bit, maybe about an inch off of the center. And that's going to be where our sun's going to be. And so you can kind of just make a little tiny mark there if you want to. And then our mountains are going to be up in here. This dark mountain here. And then these ones are going to kind of come up to about right here. So that quarter mark is kind of where these mountains are fitting in up here at the top. And then this middle part is going to be all kind of foggy. And then our trees are not going to really start. The bottom of the trees are going to be about the third mark. So if you find the third and come up there, the trees are going to be doing this kind of a zigzaggy thing right here. It's going up and back down and then coming like that. So it's kind of a curved line right here. But I'm just going to go ahead and kind of probably fill this whole thing in. So we're not going to do a whole lot of sketching before we get to painting here today, because I don't want to have to worry about these lines and going back over them. So hope y'all are having a good Sunday afternoon. Excited to be able to paint this for you. I saw this painting. This is one of the first ones. As soon as I started kind of looking at winter things, this was one of the very first pictures that I found on Shutterstock, and I saved it and was like, yep, we're doing that. So, and then I actually had you guys vote on different options, and this was the one that won. So I was like, yes, I was really glad. All right, I am using white here, and I've added just a little bit of the glazing liquid to it. And I'm going to go ahead and just start kind of where my white sun is going to be right here. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of cadmium
that
yellow.
Really pops.
What?
That really pops.
You can see where I'm going here.
Oh,
Can't
yeah.
you?
I can see that.
So I'm going to just be working wet on wet. I'm going to go around it with this yellow. And a little bit of quinacridone. Not a lot, just a tiny little bit. It's not a lot of that color down here. So that's about all I'm going to do down here. And I'm going to get some more yellow or some more white and do a little bit more white, a little bit lower there. Okay. Adding a little bit more white around the edges here.
So they would like to know, have you heard anything from Mr. Dennis?
I haven't. No, I sent him the picture, the finished one. So I don't know. He may not be close to his computer, since he said he had some sort of a show. So I expect I'll hear from him next week sometime. But I did get the magazine that
Oh yeah, the French artiste.
The French artist magazine that's done a couple of my tutorial lessons, and they want to do that one, so that'll be complicated.
So
I
you've
was
been
like,
in,
I'm not sure I'm going to have to get permission from him.
So you've been in 2 issues now.
Uh-huh.
And they want to do a 3rd or 4th, huh?
Yeah, they want to do 2 more. Yeah.
Not too bad.
No. So adding a little bit of the basically ultramarine blue. This is light ultramarine here. And I'm going to kind of pull it in towards the sun here on either side. And this is all still wet, so I'm just kind of trying to work quickly so that I kind of catch this while it's still wet. not worrying about where my mountains are going to go. This would be, you know, how a normal sky would be, right? We would, you know, it's doing its own thing. It's not worrying about the colors going around the mountains. So, so this will be a little bit more natural looking anyways when we finish, because we won't have any kind of interference from the mountains. All right, so as I come up, I'm going to grab a little bit more of that Quinacridone Magenta and a little bit more of the yellow. Mix that with that blue. Add that in there. That's a good color. I'm kind of going subtle at first. I'm going to slowly build my colors up because it's harder to kind of add more white to it. I'm sorry, I'm going off camera. You might want to zoom out just a little bit, honey. That seems a little bit close. When I turn my canvas, I'm going off camera. Thanks.
Do they pay you to see the whole canvas painted?
I think so.
Okay. Or just like 90%.
Yeah. All right. I grabbed a little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta. I'm grabbing a little bit of purple too. See, I'm trying to get the right color up there in the sky. I think this is a little too pink yet. I'll put a little bit of it up here, but use a little bit of this glazing liquid. Let's grab some of the yellow oxide, a little bit more of the cadmium yellow. And I've got this color on my brush, so it's kind of mixing with it. Let's put some of that up there, a little bit brighter yellow. Grabbing a little bit more of that glazing liquid. I'm just trying to keep that paint wet. So I'm adding more paint, but I'm trying to work at it while it's wet. This is going to be drying right now, so I don't want to mess with any of that. So I'm kind of just staying off to the side here and up at the top where the paint is still wet. A little bit more yellow. There we go. There's a really bright spot in the clouds right up here. I'm going to put some white up in here. Yeah, the brighter yellow is helping over here. I know it feels so quiet in here after having music playing before the show. You know, just like silence.
So you're saying you want me to sing?
I just wish that they allowed us to have some music playing. That's all.
Well, I've still got the tune in my head from yesterday. I can bang out some Lady Gaga for you.
No, please don't. Okay, adding purple to a little bit of burnt umber, and I've still got all these other colors on my brush. Yeah, that's the color. That's the color right there. Just going to zigzag that in all over the place over here. Keeping my brush sideways and making sure that that paint underneath is wet so that it's kind of softening up the edges. Using that glazing liquid to help it stay fluid. And it's starting to pick up right there, so I'm going to leave that alone because it's starting to dry. Okay. I think I'm going to leave that. That'll be good. Actually, I probably need to bring that blue up a little bit. Now I'm looking at the picture because it kind of comes up to the top of that, over the top of the sun there. So, but while this is drying up here, we're going to go ahead and work down this way. So I'm going to just grab my white, lay that on there. And we'll grab a little bit of that light ultramarine. Just going to transition from that yellow color down in these softer blues. Keep it very light at first. We don't want it too dark. Definitely bringing this blue up here. I'm gonna it's starting to dry. Okay, so mainly just trying to kind of get a soft transition here. Of course, we're going to have our mountains up through here, so this is all going to be kind of mountains, but I just want a kind of a pretty soft glow. I'm going to grab some Phthalo blue now and add that to that Quinacridone Magenta and do some more of the Phthalo blue down here, lower. That upward into the mountains. This area through here is very light, but it is kind of a little bit tinted. It's not completely white, even though it kind of looks like it. I'm just working from the wet part down, so I'm always kind of going back into that wet edge, but I'm not going all the way back up here because that part is going to start to dry. So if I mess with it while it's starting to dry, you know, bad things happen. So don't want to do that. All right, then down here, it's mostly white, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of start with a little bit of this bluish base, and then we'll do the white highlights on top. That'll give us a little bit of depth. And there are some shadows and things under our trees too, so probably about the halfway mark is where that white hillside starts, so it's kind of right in here. And then goes at a diagonal down this way. What are you laughing at over there?
I was thinking something in my head.
Grabbing some Phthalo blue here.
Entertaining myself over here.
Okay. Just giggling to yourself over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just checking. Adding a little bit of burnt sienna. That'll kind of turn it teal. I'm going to do this way with it. And I'm trying to kind of think about where those trees are going to go. So I'm sort of trying to follow that S curve of the trees. Right, there we go. Okay, so very subtle. You can see it's all very kind of soft transitions. I think that this is going to be pretty close to what we want. It might be a little bit wet still, but I think we can do our clouds up there. Let's see how it goes.
You don't need me to dry it real quick?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. It's kind of sticky. Let you take it. Thanks, son.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Sticker on.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Oh, if I can find her. I'm not sure where she's at. It's been a while since we've done sticker. Oh, there she is. Well, what do we want to do on her? I guess we can do some clouds back here. I'll grab some of these yellow clouds. Just do some. She's got her deer antlers. This has been a while because this is that barn from last year's thing. I think the apple was from our cornucopia. She's been around a while. We haven't been using her very much lately. Keep forgetting. Okay, so there's some little I know that that was from the lighthouse painting that we did. The lightning. That's the only lightning one I've ever done, I think. I don't want to go over top of her face too much. There we go. So we've got her some clouds there on either side. Just riding the wave. Waterfall. I'm trying to think. Okay, yep, the tulips. And then the tulips and this one and the waterfall have all gone public, but it was when we did the cornucopia that we stopped doing the public, turning the bonus videos public. So now they're only for patrons. And they don't ever go public. Oh, that was the Van Gogh lemons, too, on her dress. All right.
I think it's good.
Thanks, son.
Tell me.
No, yeah, it looks... You can kind of tell because it won't be as shiny. So if it looks more dull,
It feels a little tacky.
yeah, it's going to feel tacky because that's just kind of acrylics.
I'm pretty tacky.
I wasn't going to say anything. So.
Okay, I hope chat was behaving while I was gone.
I think so.
I think I'm the only moderator.
So.
I could go check.
Okay. I'm pretty sure they were fine. Grabbing some of the cadmium yellow. Mix that with the white. I'm going to go over the top of that sun with some of that. And I've got my quarter or number 4 Filbert here. Going over the top of some of these dark clouds here. In between.
Now I know why you're saying you're going off camera. Because I didn't have the same view that you had.
Oh, yeah.
This cool stream deck you got me doesn't switch my side of the thing.
Ah. Okay.
I got excuses for everything.
I see. So you gotta watch both. All right, so I'm adding a little bit of that ultramarine blue, which was that kind of color that we did down low here, and I'm wipe most of that off. I'm gonna go above the sun just a little bit with it. It's probably way too dark right there, so I'm gonna grab my white. Just gonna blend out with the white. This is glazing liquid just to kind of help it. It'll thin it out. It'll also kind of give me a little bit more working time on it. doesn't dry on me so quickly. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to take my white now. I'm just going to kind of pull it out from the sides a little bit. Still trying not to go right into the middle of their part because I don't want to remove that really bright white that I've got right there. But I do need some up here. Need some brighter white up here. There's some clouds up here that are really bright. Oops.
Whoops.
Dropped my brush right there. I didn't mean to do that.
So I noticed you didn't change your nail color from yesterday.
No. No, it doesn't really match this, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Sorry. No.
Kind of amateurish.
Thanks. I'm going to use some of the Unbleached Titanium here with my white. These clouds over here are kind of this burgundy color or ivory color, kind of not quite white. And I'm using this Filbert Willow's blender. And just kind of getting a little bit more color. Obviously, the color's going to be darkest up on the top, so I'm going to tap that in at the top of the cloud, and then just kind of pull it down, scrub kind of below. I actually want to use some of that Zinc White too for some of these clouds. Zinc White will give me kind of more transparent, softer clouds. In there.
Bunch of rowdy people in chat today.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe you. Are they just really quiet?
Oh man, they are out of control.
Using the yellow here. Just like giving you a break, hon.
I'd rather
Enjoy it while you can.
Rather have a Kit Kat bar.
What are you talking about?
Remember the jingle?
No, I don't. Oh, give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do.
You're welcome.
Sorry I asked.
Yes, you are.
In a white. With this yellow. Oh my gosh. Mark Anderson.
I think they just invited themselves over for Thanksgiving dinner, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, there you go. Have to buy a bigger turkey. That would be fun. That would be like when I was growing up. Our Thanksgivings were huge. My dad had 4 sisters, and they all had kids. Quite
We should
a
arrange.
lot of people.
We should arrange for something like that. A big get together, like in Branson, at one of those
Yeah.
buffet places with everybody.
Let me grab some of this purple that I was using before in the sky here. I'm going to use some of that. with this brush. Just gonna there we go. So we're starting to get there, a little closer to what we want. A little bit of this color up here, and I'm just going to keep holding my brush almost sideways to the canvas here, and using a little glazing liquid to help keep it fluid, because I don't want it. I want it to kind of blend in a little bit to the stuff around it. Starting to look good, I think.
So they want to know, how did you get that purple again?
That was a little bit of quinacridone, a little bit of burnt sienna, and purple. Right there, I think. Might have added a little... No, I think that was purple and burnt umber. Here, I think this was the quinacridone one right here. So this was purple and burnt umber right here. And it mixed with the yellow, so it was... I still had the yellow on my brush. So it kind of toned it down just a little bit. Neutralized it a little bit. Like add a little bit of yellow oxide or something like that, and you should get something close. I would just suggest when you're mixing yours that you try to kind of get them in the same spot of your palette as I'm doing here, if you're trying to follow along, because I do kind of go back to colors that I've mixed before quite a lot, and it can get confusing, even for me, because I don't remember exactly what it was that I did. I just pick it up. Okay, tapping a little bit right here on top. This is that more yellow color. Using the edge of the brush to get these kind of lines there. And then I'm going to go right up underneath my clouds right here. Do a dark kind of shadow underneath some of these. These are kind of under the shadow underneath them. Just using this brown color. There's not a whole lot of it. There's a little bit right in here, but grabbing some white, mixing white with a lot of that. We'll use it a little bit down here to add just a few little streaks of very, very light. Kind of under that bright patch of clouds. Right. Grab some more zinc white. He's got a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium mixed with this, and I'm just going to tapping a little bit on the very top of these clouds to highlight them. Get it one more time. Grabbing some more of that white, and I'm going to do some white clouds down in here in this blue area. And really just kind of tapping little kind of lines almost. Right, and then bright white. Right up through here. I'm gonna wipe my brush off so I could get most of those other colors off, so I get some really bright white and it's not getting contaminated by these other colors. Really bright. And I'm keeping these above the sun. The sun is my kind of reference point. The largest mountain is going to be right up here. It's going to hit right here, but most of them are going to be kind of below the sun. So I want all of this kind of activity happening up above that spot right there. That way I'll know that most of this will be seen. Otherwise, we'll just end up having, you know, all of this covered up by our mountains. We don't want that. Since we're not drawing in our mountains yet, you're just going to have to keep that in mind as you're working. And putting in more of my sun right there, a little bit brighter again. And there's another bit of clouds down here, down low. Kind of the mountain's going to kind of come up right here, so there's just a little bit peeking right there. Right, and then let's do a little bit of bright white on a few of these clouds up here, just at the very top. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to get my angle brush out. What we're going to start to do is, actually I'm seeing something that I've missed here. Do a little bit more white clouds right here, down low, right there. And of course we can put these back in too after we put our mountains in if we decide we need some more. There we go. All right, so now is where I'm gonna decide where my mountains are going to be, and I think I'm just going to kind of paint them in. If you want to draw them, you can. They're going to be, this tall peak is going to be right about on the quarter mark, so if you kind of split it on the quarter, the tall part is going to be, well, if this was our quarter here, it's going to be just above it, right here, kind of at the tail end of where this is. So that's about the spot where I'm going to go for, and then I'm going to try to end it right about even with my sun, or maybe a little bit lower, like right about there. And then we know where the sun mountains are going to go. They're going to be right here. And then we're going to go out below there, and they're going to end right about there. So I'm just going to mark a couple spots with my chalk, but I'm going to just paint it in with my brush as I go. So I don't want the Phthalo blue. I want the Ultramarine Blue and white. And I'm going to go just a little bit darker than my sky color for these farthest mountains. There's some that are really far back. Let me see. Let me do my big mountains first. It'll be easier to kind of track where they're at. So I'm going to kind of outline where my big mountain's going to go, just kind of lightly outline it. When it gets to about even with that, there's like a little spot that kind of sticks up right there and then keeps on coming down. That's our top of our mountain right there. I'm just really lightly putting this in because I don't want to have to fight these colors. Covering them up later. Okay, so I'm going to grab a lot of white, just a little bit of that ultramarine blue, and then right in between this area I'm going to fill in some far mountains happening right here. That's probably too dark even. They're almost invisible. I'm going to go even more. There we go. That's what I want. Really, really light. And then there's a mountain that comes up right in here. And this is where you can transfer on really lightly. Well, with your, if you're transferring with your transfer paper, you can transfer on really lightly where these mountains are going to go. But I would make sure that you kind of try to erase most of your lines so you don't have to worry about covering them up too much. So that was my line here, so I'm going just above it to do these mountains that are farther back, right here. And they get a little bit darker as they get farther away from the sun, so I can go a little bit darker with it as I get out here. And I'm going to come down just a little bit farther than I think I need to with it. So when I put this next mountain in front, it'll cover it. Okay, so, and these are kind of parallel, so these are obviously the same mountains right there that we're seeing. There's a little bit of it peeking through right here too. Okay. So getting some Quinacridone Magenta, getting my white, bring it down quite a lot. I'm going to grab some yellow, mix up some yellow with it over here. And then a little bit more of the Unbleached Titanium over here. I'm going to start with this Unbleached Titanium with, or I'm sorry, the Quinacridone Magenta with the light ultramarine blue. And I'm going to come right up next to my sun here. This may be too dark. Let's add a little bit of white to that. You can always go darker later. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm not going too dark too quickly. There we go. There we go. All right, so I'm kind of cupping the sun here, going right up next to it here. And I'm going to leave these light areas for my highlights. So I'm kind of painting around my highlights in this case. I'm going to grab a little bit of that yellow color, add a little bit of it. And I'm going to try to make the bottom edge of this kind of blend out. So once I get that kind of upper part on, I'm going to kind of use my towel to sort of pull off the extra paint right down here so that it blends out and bleeds down into nothing, disappears. Okay. We're going to add other colors, obviously, but I want it to stop right in here because there's another mountain peak right here that's going to happen. Okay. That's good. Use a little bit more of the Unbleached Titanium here, or I'm sorry, the Light Ultramarine Blue. And maybe a little bit of that yellow. Let's do this side of it. So just on the other side of the sun right here, kind of next to it, there's another peak coming down this way. Okay, and then before that dries, I want to blend out that bottom edge. So I'm going to get a little bit of water, maybe a little bit of glazing liquid, and I'm going to soften up that edge before it dries. Now right in the middle, I want it almost gone. We are going to put some sunlight back over the top, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it will help us later if we kind of don't have to work around too much. Adding a little bit more yellow up here. And a little bit more of this unbleached, or light ultramarine blue at the bottom. I keep wanting to call it unbleached titanium. Don't know why. White and glazing liquid here. Pulling up into that mountain. Softening that up. Using a wet brush, just kind of pull off that color. All right, and then I want to make sure that I have this yellow area right here because this is going to be our highlight area on this slope. So I'm going to do diagonal with this color a little bit right there. Right. So I'm going to grab the white here, and this is going to be our highlight of our slope right here. Coming down. A bit right here. And then a little bit of this. Color from these mountains. It's so subtle. That's what we're kind of trying to capture because it's really very soft in here. It really just kind of flows. If you look at the reference photo, it's so soft and it just kind of flows and disappears down here. So that's what we're kind of trying to capture up here. So I'm going to grab my quinacridone and some of this yellow. We're going to go just below, right here. Do another peak. Coming off this way. And like that. colors right. It's a little bit more pink. All right, and then I want to disappear that edge. So I'm going to get some white, some of the light ultramarine. White and glazing liquid. Putting on fairly thick so that I can give myself working time here. There we go. Just pull that color down. This is definitely going to take a couple coats before it gets kind of where we want it to be, so don't worry about that too much at first if it doesn't look quite right. It's pretty normal. Use that Phthalo blue mixture that I have down here in the shadows for this mountain range that's right here, down low. Maybe a little bit more white. It's going to meet up with this mountain range right here. And I still have some of that nice thick white and glazing liquid down here, so it's kind of blending together right there for me, which is nice. Doing some of the work. And then there is this color down this way too. Grabbing some white. All right, we're getting closer. Not quite there, but almost. Purple. Mixing that with a little bit of that ultramarine. Grab some white. All right, so let's go right up here. This mountain kind of turns purple pretty quickly. That's one of the quick tricky things too, is because it's like this gradual shift. It's not just like one color all the way across. It's like these shifts from one color to another pretty quickly. So you're kind of dealing with a lot of colors in a small space. Grab a little bit of the glazing liquid. Can I help? Now this is dry underneath here. This pink mountain, this first one is dry. So I can do this. If it's not, just wait till it does dry and then you can do this. And this color comes all the way down to this mountain just about. Let's use a little bit of the Phthalo blue and ultramarine. Mix those two together. Actually, I might use that Prussian blue. Let me use the Prussian blue. So it's got a little bit of black in it. Yeah, that's better. It's a little bit more neutral. Okay, so Prussian blue plus white here. And there's a hard shadow right here that's kind of coming down this mountain. And they've gotten deeper as they've gotten away from that sun. So this area is a lot darker. Right, getting a little bit of glazing liquid. Blend that out into the next color. Okay. And then there's some shadows in the mountain right there. Grab some of the white. Kind of touch up with the white. And around this is all kind of highlighted. And there's a little bit of white peeking through right here. Sort of just in the tops of these mountains right there. Just using this angle brush, just barely touching that paint so that it'll kind of come off a little bit broken. There we go. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better, I think. So I still need to transition these two colors a little bit better, but I think this is starting to dry, so I can't mess with it too much. So I'll kind of let that set for a minute, but then there is some dark shadowy color in there, and I'm trying to see what that looks like. It looks like it might be, like maybe if I added a little bit of purple, maybe a little bit of burnt umber, kind of close to that sky color there that we had, the cloud color, purple and burnt umber. And then we'll add white to it, obviously. Yeah, I think that's pretty close. Okay. Grab a little glazing liquid. Grab some white. And then on this mountain, there's these darker shadows. So I'm just going to use this brush and kind of tap in and drag a few little shadowed things. And there's some in here too. If they're really, really noticeable, just add a little bit of white, and then that'll help kind of. There we go. There's some on here. These ones over here are going to be darker. Not that dark. grab some of that Prussian Blue mixture, just add that to it. That was Prussian Blue and white over there. So then we'll just add a little bit of that purple color. There we go. Little parts of the rock showing through here. They're showing through the snow. The snow is kind of got this, the parts that have snow are actually catching the sunlight and the colors from the sky. And so those are all these really colorful blues and things. But then the parts that we're seeing that are dark are kind of the rocks peeking through. Gonna go with some white here. Okay. How you doing, Nan?
I'm doing good.
Hanging in there?
Yep, I just went out and turned the oven off.
Why?
Because the meat's about done.
Oh,
And so
okay.
that'll just continue to
Cook.
get tasty.
Mark made us carne asada for dinner.
Carnitas.
Carnitas, sorry. Carnitas. All right. We mixed up some of that pink that was over there. Just a little bit of the light ultramarine blue plus the Quinacridone Magenta. And I'm just going to try to kind of transition between these two colors. So let's add some of this Prussian Blue over here to it, which was a color that's over here. And well, there we go. It should just transition right from one color to the next. There.
Is there a substitute for Prussian Blue?
Yes, the Prussian Blue is just purple plus Phthalo Blue plus black. So and not a lot of black, I don't think. Just a little bit of black. This is Phthalo Blue red shade, which would be closer to Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, and Bone Black.
Bone black?
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a brownish black, so you could add burnt umber to it as well.
I always thought bones were white.
Bone black, I don't know why it's called that. Huh? Good observation. I never
Thank you.
thought of it.
I mean, fortunately, I have never seen mine, so I'm going to assume they're white.
I think so. Okay, grab some of that pink from the thing. Just gonna touch up these, just trying to get these kind of where they're supposed to be before I move on. So I'm seeing a lot of pink in these mountains actually, in these highlights back here. So I'm going to add a little bit of this pink color. really not sure why that.
So I think I have a new color for our list.
Okay, what is it?
Quesadilla black.
Okay, what?
In honor of your cooking skills.
Okay. It's like, what did I miss there? All right. Yeah. Thank you, hon.
Not as good as my flaming steak.
No, Mark tried to catch the kitchen on fire the other night.
Just a small grease fire.
Mm-hmm. Nothing was hurt except for the chairs. So
Yeah.
brand new dining chairs did not fare so well. It's all right. I'm glad you didn't get burned. That's the main thing. That would have been bad.
Yeah, it was pretty hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they want to know if you use a smoke alarm as the oven timer.
That's good. It's done. Dinner's ready. That's awesome. I'm not a bad cook if I can remember that I'm actually cooking. That's the problem. It's that I get distracted and then I forget, oh yeah, I was cooking something. So this is Ultramarine Blue here. I'm just kind of adding here. And so funny. All right, I'm just going to pull up with this lighter color along this whole section here. There we go. All right, so starting to kind of come together there. Let's redo this ridge here because it, oh, and see, I forgot to blend that out, so that's going to be a pain. That was Phthalo Blue. And just a little bit of burnt sienna. Right, let's use white here. I'm gonna try to blend that out first thing. Get my white out. I'm gonna use a bigger brush for this. Grab my white, some glazing liquid there. I'm just gonna go underneath here, blend that whole section. Just make sure it's nice and soft right there. All right, we're getting there, but you can see how kind of we've left that yellow that was in the sun there. I think it's working right there. You know, we kind of left just a little bit. I probably could have left a little bit more back in here, but I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of that white and just add it back in right here. There we go. And then we've got this really bright white right here. Okay. Good. And there is a little bit of detail on these mountains too, so we can kind of tap in just a little bit of color back there too. Not a lot, but all right. I liking it. All right, let's grab some of this Ultramarine Blue and Purple. Make sure that we used up here. I'm going to use it right in here. This mountain range. I'm just going to use this color, pull it down. There we go. All right, then as I get over here, it's going to turn more turquoise. Let's just pull that down. Catching it while it's wet. And this is wet underneath here, so it's going to kind of blend. This is wet on wet, sort of. You got to do this quickly if you're going to. It doesn't work very well with acrylics in large areas, but you can kind of get away with doing it in small spots like that. Let me use a little bit of this color back up in here too. All right. We're getting closer to being done with this side. And I think this side is going to go faster. This is the side that's got all the small details and things in it. I'm just going to add some little details to the ridges here. A little bit of that purple. Add some little rock details. All right. And then I'm going to grab that white. And just blend that blue down very lightly. I'm going to use it over here. I've already kind of started it. I'm going to add details to this side of the mountain. I'm going to add a little bit of the blue to this peak right here to soften it up. And then this side has got some of the pink that's over there. So I'm going to add a little bit of that pink over here. And then we're going to go into that kind of Prussian blue color. So I'm going to grab the Ultramarine Blue. So this was the light Ultramarine Blue plus the Quinacridone. And now I'm going with the light Ultramarine Blue plus the Prussian Blue. I'm getting a little bit more water, or a little bit more white. Actually comes up more like that. little bit more white here. I'm gonna add some detail on top. Just kind of just wanting to blend out any of my hard edges. Keep them all soft. Okay, I left that fairly dark because I'm thinking that when I put my halo of white over the top, that it's going to tone it down a little bit. Because it is a little bit too dark right now, but I'm thinking that it'll tone it down. I'll go over it just a little bit, but if there's not enough contrast, then you won't even really be able to tell it's there. So I do want a little bit of something there. Let's use a little bit of this dark purple in here. Add a little bit of detail on our mountain peak right here. Grab that white and pull down with it. Got some ultramarine blue on the back side here. There we go. All right. Getting closer. Okay, so I'm going to move to a bigger brush for this part of the mountain. I think I'll use the 3/8" angle. How are you, hun?
We're doing great. Oh, yeah.
Right. I'm going to use the Prussian blue and the purple here. My white. This mountain here is pretty dark. Maybe not that dark, but we'll see. It comes down, out. Okay, there we go. So I've got that down. Grab some of that glazing liquid. While that's still wet, work on that edge. Wipe that off. Grab some of the blue. Pull it this way. This is that phthalo blue color that was on this ridge over here. Try to get these to blend together. And you may just do the blue first and kind of, as long as you kind of blend this first part out here, It's going to go almost straight down, and then it's going to angle off this way and blend out into nothing. So all of this should be really light. So I'm just going to grab some white, come up with the white this way from the bottom. A little bit of glazing liquid. There we go. And I'm laying it on pretty thick to give yourself time to do this. I'm going a little bit thicker with my paint than I normally do. So, and then if I have too much paint, then I can always kind of take my brush and wipe that paint off. Get more, some more of that teal color down here. Grab a little bit more of that purple, pull. From the top down with it. It's starting to get sticky, so I'm going to have to stop pretty soon here.
So when you say starting to get sticky, how do you know that? Do you just like
I can feel it in the brush.
You can feel
when I'm pulling,
pull?
when I'm pulling down, it's not going as smoothly. So it's just, you know. Yeah, you can feel it.
It's just more resistance or drag.
Mm-hmm. There's more drag.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, and then I'm just going to use my paper towel. I'm just going to wipe that bottom edge out. There we go. All right, let's use a little bit of this purple. I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. This color that was up here, I'm going to add it to this right here. Use a little bit of this purple color. Some white right in here. I'm just using water to kind of lift the extra paint off. Okay, and then I can just kind of brush over that edge. This is definitely a good like blending lesson, because there is a lot of this kind of blended edge on these mountains. I knew it was going to be a little bit tricky when I saw that photo and just saw how soft all of these blends are, but I think it's doable. It's just, you know, you're just going to have to kind of do small sections at a time. I think that's the key. Is not do too much at one time. I'm going to do a little bit of white highlight right there, a little bit white right here, a little bit of white kind of coming down like that, and a little bit of white over this top of this one. So there's a little section right there. And then there's just a little bit over here too. Let's do down here. This should be dry now. I'm gonna grab this green over here and do Glow Mountain. And it's about even with where that one was. So I'm just gonna go kind of right in here. It comes off right there. And again, blends out into nothing. Grab white, grab some glazing liquid. Come up underneath it and just blend that out. And if you've got a large area like this that you need to blend, just grab your bigger brush and some white and just come up underneath like that. The white will catch the color on the brush. There, you can grab a little bit of that teal color. There we go. Trying to keep it soft.
Like your voice.
Sorry, I'm getting very soft. All right,
You?
talk a little bit louder.
No. Not
When
at
I
all.
get difficult paintings like this, I tend to get a lot softer too. I'm sorry. Because it's just like I'm thinking.
And that's why I got this over here with all the dials and slides so I can
Good.
boost it up.
Thanks. Okay. And a little bit of purple in there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. Happy. It's starting to work. Right, so right here, I need to blend that out. I'm gonna, I think, start working on my trees. What do you think? Zoom out a little bit. Here, I want to see the whole thing on the screen. There we go. Okay, yeah, not bad. Yeah. Now that could come up a little higher right there. I don't think it really matters. It's just a little higher right there. I think it kind of helps having this really dark area right here too, because it gives it much more of a contrast with that lighter area that we got so close to it. It's much more dramatic. Grab a little bit of white. There's a kind of a pink mountain right here. I missed. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and get some white here and go back up into my clouds here and add a little bit more of this bright white. Seeing some areas up here where it could be even brighter. That yellow's bleeding through the the clouds in a couple of spots. So just doing another coat to really brighten that pop of white there. And do a little bit more right here. And then we're going to let that set, and what we'll do is come back here at the very end and add our glow. We don't want to do it right now because those mountains are too wet still. So those are pretty good though. I think I'm going to call that good on that. And let's add some more highlights on, or shadows on our ground under our trees. So I'm going to grab the Phthalo Blue and Burnt Sienna. Some teal. Add our white. This is the same color that we did before. I'm just going to go just a little bit darker this time. A little bit of that glazing liquid to help it kind of blend in easily. I lost all my white, so just might as well go with it there. And I'm going to pull from this direction out. And our tree line is going to be right in here somewhere. So let's go ahead and try to think of how I want to do this. Let's go ahead and draw in our tree line. That way we can kind of know where to put our shadows. So there's going to be a tree right here. And I guess it's about the third. So right on the third there. There's a little, that's where these trees start starting. So they're right there. All these trees in here. There's a big one back here that's really dark, or like really light. There's a big one right here. Little one right here. One right here. Right here. They get smaller as they go in farther away there. I need to go back in with the white there. I don't have any white, but I'll use the zinc white. To blend that out a little bit. We do have a quiet group today. Do we have a lot of people? Mark's not even listening.
There's currently 48 people watching.
That's not bad for a bonus video.
Yes, I am listening.
Oh, well, you didn't say anything, so
Well,
I didn't think you were listening.
I had to check it out.
Oh, okay.
And you've had a peak of 50.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. The bonus videos are getting a little bit more. We don't have big live audiences usually during the bonus videos as a rule, so 40 is pretty good.
So that's about 5% of the eligible people.
Well, yeah, and the thing is that, even the videos don't get, like the bear video only had like, I don't know, 500 or something views,
Oh, wow.
and we had 900 people paying for access to it. So it's just, it's pretty interesting that not everybody, but they may be paying $5 just, because they wanted reference photos and things like that too. So
they want to support you.
True. That too.
It's not about the paints.
Well, that's sweet.
Painting. It's about the Angela.
Oh, I think that's what you would say, honey. Okay, I'm just going underneath where I'm thinking I'm putting these trees, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this darker teal here. And we'll probably, blend this out, obviously, but just kind of add some of that. Here's kind of a darker shadow right there. Comes up. Okay. Yeah, and they may have wanted a different bonus video. They didn't, you know, maybe not this one or the bear one, but one of the other ones. You just never know. Okay, so just trying to add some of this lighter. And there is some really dark areas under some of these trees. I'm going to go back in and kind of add a little bit deeper shadows on a couple of these places. Oh, it's looking good. I like it. I like it when it gets to this point where it starts to come together. Alrighty, let me see. I think I'm going to use the, yeah, I think I'm going to use this one for the pine trees that are in the very, very back here. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe. Yeah, I guess I could use this brush. I'm going to use the number 1 round. That's what I used for the bear painting. I actually really liked it for the pine trees. It worked well. Okay, so I'm going to use this Phthalo, or the blue, Prussian Blue, and a lot of white. A lot of white. And I want to go just slightly darker than what's on this background. They're really, really faint. Back in here. That'll be about right. If you can barely see it right here, then it'll dry darker. So it'll be perfect. Once we get the more color on there. I'm going to use, you can see how purple that is now. Adding just white to it, you can see how much purple is in that Prussian Blue. It's almost like the light ultramarine plus white. I'm going to add a little bit of Phthalo blue just so that it's more greenish. There we go. Okay, fly. Go away. It's landing on me. I'm just going to make these random kind of pine tree shapes here. Okay, like that. That may even be too dark. It probably is too dark. Let me add some white to it. Wet that off. I don't want it that thick. There we go. Okay, tiny, tiny little trees. And these are going almost up to the this mountain here, so there's obviously kind of a close ridge here because these are obviously not as big as mountain trees, but they're looking quite large because they're closer to us. So just going to keep on doing. There's kind of a ridge, obviously, that goes at an angle like this. So I want to make sure my trees reflect that. They start coming down. So I'm trying to think, my far one right here is, let me look on my page here. Here's my center, my canvas. Here's my corner. So if I did a corner towards this center, just about right. So from this corner to this center, that's about the angle that I want right here. Which is about what we did right here. So we're kind of right on right here. So, but I want the tops of my trees right here to do the same. So I just need to be aware of that as I'm putting them in to kind of make them shorter as I get down here. Some of them are obviously taller than others, but I don't want them to go any taller than this one. So these ones down here are actually don't even really see. And there's one right in here. Right kind of in the middle of that peak right there. That is, let's see, it's still not as high as that. So yeah, right about the halfway mark or so. So I brought that up too high, that blue there. I need to grab my white and bring this down right here because this is all white in here. Okay, so I need to tone that down just a little bit with the white. My trees in here. I'm really just doing like a couple of little dots for the top of the tree and then wiggling it back and forth as I go down. There's not a whole lot of detail there. Okay. These are, do some white back here in between these. Kind of highlight back there. There's a little bit of darkness right kind of on that ridge, so I'll just kind of put a little bushes or something back there. And then it drops off really steeply right here. All the way down to this guy. And I think there's another kind of far tree right in here somewhere. Right in the middle right there. All right, so if you can't see these trees, you either need to go darker or you need to do your background lighter. So it just depends on how, you know, how it's looking back there. So I'm going to grab that Prussian Blue. Spritz my canvas. And these foreground trees are quite dark, so we're going to use this strength, full strength. And I'm going to zoom out, hon. Thanks. What?
And I'm going to zoom out, hon.
Sorry. I started to do what I was going to do and realized I couldn't see where I was at on the canvas.
The canvas is right in front of you.
I know.
You don't have to watch it on YouTube.
Okay. Well, if I can't see it on there, they can't either. So, go up this way and stop right about there. Which is just under the third. So I want to go up a little bit higher. I'm just going to tap. Okay, and there is, add a little bit of white to that. There's another one right here. Another one right here. It's kind of coming in front. Right off the canvas there. Ooh, that was kind of thick right there. I don't think I wanted it that thick. Most of that's going to be covered up, so that's why I'm not worried about it too much. Let's try that again. Okay, then there's a little, I'm just going to put in, map out kind of the main tree trunks. There's another little one that kind of crosses over this guy. And then a little one there, one there. And then here's this one. Right in here, these are going to start getting higher. So the highest one's going to be right about here. And there's another one right here. All the way down to there. And this one is right in here. And then another one right there. I think that's right. Boom. Yeah, and there's some smaller ones down in here. several more right here. Okay, I think that's good. I think I'm going to try this with my angle brush. We'll see. I may switch over to my fan brush. Find a clean spot on my rag here. Get these out of the water. Let's go ahead and use the larger one. See how this goes. We're just going to start dark, and then we will be obviously adding a lot of white over the top of these. So, but I do want to kind of have a nice dark, deep base, so I don't have to go back in and try to add that later. So I'm going to start at the top there. Can do some taps along the stems, and then come along the sides. The top of the trees, they kind of are sticking out this way. You're just typing over there.
I'm giving advice about network attached storage.
Oh, okay.
And backup.
Interesting.
We're not paying attention to the painting.
I can see that. I always feel like I'm pretty much by myself in here on these Patreon things because you don't ever talk to me like you do in the other shows. So doing your own thing in your own world over there. All right. Now, as I get down closer to the bottom here, the bottom of these trees are kind of, they almost look like fingers. They're doing kind of this sort of thing. So, you can literally look closely at these shapes that they're making are really kind of odd shapes. So I'm just going to kind of tap my brush in here and let it create random shapes. We're going to come up over this with the snowbank a little bit, so don't worry about the bottom of the tree right now. Really, this is all really dark in here, so I'm just going to kind of pretty much fill in all of that with dark. And then this tree here, well, these two that are kind of farther back are a little bit fuller, so they're maybe a different kind of pine tree, I don't know. So these two are these two right here. They're kind of close together and lots of needles. And these ones here, the branches are a lot sparser, so I'm just going to kind of go in here and do these. They're not going to look like a whole lot at first. That's okay.
We learned that yesterday with the polar bear.
Yes.
There's some people who claim to be watching you, so kind of weirdos.
Thank you. Good. Well, at least a few are watching.
They must be newbies.
Okay. Can I add? Like something from another tree over here, kind of poking in right there. That's good, I think. So they kind of do this Y thing, and then they get about halfway down, and they start to transition downward. So you see right about here, they start to, and then the snow kind of pulls those branches down in there. And we're too close to see what I was talking about. But
No, we were good.
I was off camera.
Okay, well, your hand was. I was trying to zoom in to be everybody could see the.
Okay, that's fine.
Brush
Just
action.
let me know when you do that so that I
Okay,
know
sorry.
that I'm. Need to pay attention to that. Okay. So then there's this big tree right here that's coming out this way. There's a little pocket right in here that's empty. Really just kind of tapping. There's some that are coming straight at us, so don't forget those too. Don't just do the sideways ones. You want to do the ones, a few straight up and down. The ones that are coming straight at us are pretty much just, you can see the shape here. It's a little bit longer and coming out. If they're facing straight at us, they'll be more like this. These ones, here's another one that's kind of facing us. So it make more difference, or it'll make more obvious sense once we start putting the snow on, because then we'll see a little bit more contrast here. Right now we're just doing a bunch of blue, dark blue. The only bad thing about this brush is you'll have a little bit difficulty getting some of these smaller side branches small enough. So when I do the white, I'll probably switch to a different brush to give myself a little bit more control. These are coming all the way out here like this. Okay.
Get in there, babe.
Yep, I am. Thanks.
Well, I'm quieter because I, can't tell everybody about Patreon or
Right, you
about
can.
where
You
the
got no.
supplies are.
True. They all know that probably already.
Yeah. I could tell them how good my games went this morning on World of Tanks.
You
I
should.
guess
You
I
should.
just get frustrated
How
sometimes.
did that do? Sometimes.
I'm much better than I used to be.
That's true.
I went shopping this morning.
You did.
Got some more
Groceries.
groceries.
Getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It'll be fun. Yeah, I was thinking that I might, do the Christmas cookie party with my friends every year. It might be fun to figure out a way to do it for patrons, obviously I can't see them, so it wouldn't be as quite the same, but it'd be kind of fun to try to figure out a way to do. I've tried it before and it didn't really work out on my regular YouTube channel, but it would be kind of fun to have some sort of a way to do a group cookie party online somehow. I'm just pointing my brush straight down on these ones. It just seems to be working pretty well.
I guess we could bring all the cameras into the kitchen and
Yeah.
roll out cookie dough together.
Well, that's kind of, the whole thing would be sort of part of it, because that's part of the fun. I don't know. It's just a thought. Every year
I think it'd be cool.
every year when I get to the Christmas party, I kind of think, oh, this would really be fun to do somehow, but it just didn't catch on when I tried to do the live stream the first time, so.
You know that I like to watch.
I think we literally had 25 people watching that time. And we were normally getting like maybe 100, so it was like really low numbers for, we were early on the channel, so maybe it'd be different now, but what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, these are, normally, people interested in art and painting, so.
Right.
But, I like that kind of thing.
Yeah, Mark's into cooking.
I watch those. I got hooked on the Tasty
you don't do
channel
baking,
now.
Though, really?
No, but, I like watching those videos.
Right.
You could pay, okay, so you could post your cookie recipe in the Patreon group, and they can make their cookies ahead and post a supply list of all the colors and decorations and stuff, and make them together that way. Yeah, and then we'll just move the cameras out to the kitchen and do it down there. I guess you could.
That's the main thing.
You could decorate them in here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I did last time. I just decorated them here, Just, I don't know. So many options. It's hard to know what to do sometimes. And all through here, this is pretty much all just solid branches, so it's all pretty dark right in through there. Got some branches coming off from this side. A tree that's over there somewhere.
So this hill has kind of like two slopes. It's sloping left to right and then from away from you also at the same time, it seems like.
Yeah, it's doing this. It's coming this way. It's higher up here. It's coming towards you. Sloping down this way.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it is. It is. Maybe it doesn't look like that how I painted it so far, but it does. It is in the picture. Okay, so I think we're good there. Do this tree that's right here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. I'll zoom back out, hon. Let's see the whole thing. Please. Thanks. I'm grabbing white here. Come up underneath the tree. Pull down. And a fairly thick white here. use a little bit of this Prussian blue from our trees. Come up underneath and
all right.
Shadow pull down. What?
How advanced do you feel this painting is?
It's pretty advanced. It's pretty up there. Especially that part up there was pretty tricky for sure. So I would say not a beginner level. I would say middle, mid-level beginner.
I'm going to say 7.
Probably.
Maybe even 8 out of 10.
Yeah, something like that.
Just go off with all the blending and colors, like you said at the top.
I think so. And this part of the composition is a little bit tricky too. I mean, I'm finding it a little bit challenging just to try to get it right. So. I don't even know why I'm doing this because I think it was better before I started messing with this part over here. I'm going to leave it the way it was before. Grab a little bit of white. There's just a little bit of white under here. Back there. All right, now I want to use some teal, so I'm going to grab some of that Phthalo blue and burnt sienna. White. Add this to our trees. I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush. So I'm going to go kind of under on top of my what we've already done. A little bit brighter. We're doing kind of that ice color here, and I need to go back in and fix this because I covered up some of that down here. There we go. Okay, the phthalo blue, kind of ice here. Just going to go just above what we've already done, and we're going to cover up a lot of what we've done. So just kind of leave some of this dark though, so that we can see some of the shadows. So I don't want to cover all of it. I want to leave just a little bit of that dark peeking through. This is going to be one of our kind of mid-level colors that are sort of in between the bright snow color and the shadows. So this is snow covered, but in the shadow. This part, the dark part is either like the underside of the branches where their snow is not hitting or something like that. It's yeah, this is helping. Okay, you can zoom in a little bit if you want, and that'd probably help. Let's see what I'm doing here. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to go in on top of what I've just done. Add some of this That may be too much. I can't maneuver. Well, I mean, I need to be able to move. Yeah, thank you. I can't paint parts of the canvas and keep it in frame if you have it that close. Okay. And I've switched to my angle, my 1/4 inch angle, so I've got a little bit more control in some of these tight spots here. But I definitely want to leave some of these really dark areas down in here, so don't do everything with this. Not all the branches need this. This is where I'm going to do a little bit even more shaping. That I kind of wasn't shaping the trees much when I did that first layer. I was just kind of trying to get some of that dark color on the canvas. Now I'm going to kind of start shaping out these individual trees a little bit more, a little bit better. Using a little bit of the lighter color here. The snow is crusting it from this side, so that's the brighter side there. Starting good there. Getting closer. I'm just going to throw in a couple, like some random, like tops of trees back in here, because there's ones that we can't really see way back there. Okay, getting there. Let me make sure I get all my chalk off, because I don't want to be seeing chalk. And there's a couple of trees in here that I've taken out just because they're not really adding anything to the story. They're kind of cluttering things up. So there's a few like little baby trees down in here and things that I've taken out just to make the composition a little bit cleaner. So right. It's this color that gives us that icy feeling. Makes it. Makes you feel snowy. Use some of this darker color and do some of this longer branches over the top. Okay. All right, I'm just going to go back in here and darken up just a couple more spots in case I got too much of this color. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with this one. It seems to be working pretty well. I'm going to grab white now. I'm going to mix just a tiny bit of that blue in there. That icy blue. Okay, and we'll do this same thing again. Just tapping in. This time a lot less. We want to make sure we're not doing too much too soon. I keep going off camera there, hon. And not all of the trees need to get the white like this. Some of these far back ones can stay darker. I'm seeing some that don't have a lot of white at all. So I think I do want to switch to my round brush. I think I'll be able to get a little bit better control here. Switch to this brush, number 1 round. Kind of a little bit more of like a middle light color for some of these far trees back here, so they're not quite as bright as the close ones. Just spacing out over there. You're a good sport, and we're almost done. What did I just get on there? Is that new? Yeah, I think I just did that. All right, here's that brighter white. Yeah, that's better. So I can kind of pull it and flick it towards the center and get more branch-like. It's a little tricky too because there's not a huge amount of contrast between these colors in here. You know, this is all kind of foggy looking, so you're not seeing a whole lot of contrast on these trees. So it's real easy to get them to look like a big blob of sameness, you know. That's a trick to kind of, you know, get them close enough to one another without them all blending into one color, you know. So I want them close, but just a little bit different. Just so that we can kind of get some of these details. I'm going back in with a little bit of the bright white this time. And brightening up some of these, just a few of these, some of the branches, select ones. And make sure that you're doing some that are kind of coming down straight at you, like that. Am I too far away? We can zoom in now. Okay, little tap white at the top, little highlights on those branches. And then right about here, you're going to start seeing these ones that kind of come straight at you. I'm going to leave this side close to this tree kind of dark so that there's a contrast shadow right there. Go back in with bright white. So first I go in with the kind of the medium or the bright blue that's mixed in with the white there, and then do a little bit, just a few sections with the bright white. These ones that are farther back are going to be smaller, so try to kind of get your brush strokes a little bit smaller. Just little dots, really all you need in some cases. Okay. These ones way back here, I'm just basically doing little dots. I'm not really defining any branches. Just little dabs. Just to add a little contrast. This tree is fairly dark back here, so I'm going to use this lighter blue to highlight it. The not pure white back there. A little bit of the brighter white. A little bit. Go back up through there with some of the darker blue and add a little more contrast back in there. And anywhere that you see that you know, maybe lost too much of your dark blue, you can always go back in later and add that back in. So some of these areas where, you know, there's shadows or maybe the tree trunk, you know, you want it to show up, you can add that back in there. This tree right here is kind of our main one that's kind of creating some of these branches that are overlapping the rest of them. Most of these ones in the back are kind of getting covered up by its branches. So okay, and then I can go back in with the teal color. And white, and just kind of come up underneath some of these branches that I added. Grab some of that Phthalo, or the Prussian Blue here. Whoop. Underneath, and just kind of add a little bit of that Prussian Blue in a couple places where I feel like it needs it. Just where maybe it needs to be defined a little bit better or something like that. Some of these branches that are coming out here have a pretty light. You can kind of come up underneath them and add a little bit of a shadow. Add a little bit of white on top. And really, the shape is kind of like this on some of these. It's kind of like a all right, I think that's good. Just spent a little bit more time on this one just to kind of give it a little bit more contrast, but I definitely need more of the dark color in there because I took a lot of that out. All right. I'm going to zoom out there. Let's see what we have here. It's pretty close. Let's do our burst here on our sun. So I'm going to get that zinc white here. Take most of it out of my brush. Add just a teeny tiny bit of that yellow if I can get something that's clean here. I added a little glazing liquid too. Take most of that out of my brush. Don't need a lot. Yeah. So there's star bursts that's kind of coming out this way. There we go. That even better emphasizes those glowing hills there. Go. We can add a little tiny bit of this yellow. Of course, you don't generally want to use yellow on snow. But I'm going to put a little bit of that color, just a slight bit. Don't want it to turn it yellow, but I do want it to pick up some of the color from this sky there. Add it to the canvas. Grab some white here. Just do one more. And I think we need splattering. What do you think? I mean, it's a sunny day, so maybe not, I guess. Oh. Maybe not. It is sunny.
Well, they do have that phenomenon when it gets so cold that the moisture in the air freezes and causes it to snow even though there's no clouds. So you could pretend that if you really need to do hashtag splatter movement.
I guess I'll leave it off, even though I really want to, but it just feels wrong to be doing snowy trees without having some snow, but I'm going to call that good. So how long was that? Ooh, almost 3 hours. All right. I said 2 hours. Yeah, so I was way underestimated there.
Well, it's 2 hours after the first hour.
2 hours after the first hour.
You didn't really specify, so.
Right. All right, guys. Well, hope you try this. It is a little bit more complicated than some of our other ones, but I think it's doable. I mean, I think if you do it in the steps like I did, and just take your time, don't get too frustrated with this blending. You can always kind of do multiple layers to kind of smooth things out as you go. So, and really using that technique that I used on the sun to blend out your hills is another option too. So you can, you could use that zinc white and go over, some of your hills there and blend out some of those colors with dry brushing instead of, trying to do it wet on wet. And it actually is can be a little bit easier that way too. So you might try that if you struggle with, blending wet on wet. You can try just dry brushing over with the light color. You can see how it's kind of picking up that, softening it up right there. I'm gonna add a little bit more white right there. Notice that it's still a little bit dark right there. maybe a tiny bit of bright white. Just tap it in right there. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Let me sign it. I think I'm gonna sign it with the. Oops, sorry, that was loud. I'm gonna sign it with the brush. That's a brand new brush, and I already ruined it. I didn't clean it out well enough.
Ruh-roh.
Mm-hmm. So when you're signing yours, if you're using a brush, I find that a slightly shorter hair liner works best. Get it really, really thin one. This one is a 10 or 18-aught. So I would get at least a 5-aught or smaller, or, you know, the higher the number, the smaller the brush is, or the, you know, smaller the thing is. So add a lot of water to it, just like as if we were going to splatter. And then I scoop up quite a bit on my brush so that I have it fairly thick. And if it's a small enough brush, you don't have to worry about, you know, pulling it to a point. And that way I can write with it almost like a regular pen, and I don't have to worry about reloading it after, you know, 2 letters. So I hold it really close, just like a pen, and I go right up against these trees here. If you have them short enough, you won't, oh, see, it's breaking up on me. Ugh. I'm so sad I just got this brush too. It's breaking up on me because the bristles are kind of messed up. Okay. There we go. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for supporting us on Patreon this month. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. Half of the stuff we've been doing lately, it's been awesome having you supporting Mark and I doing what we love to do, or at least what I love to do, and he tolerates. I'm gonna add some more white right here, but he loves it too. He does.
I get to play with electronics.
He's looking forward to getting to quit his full-time job to help me with it. So he enjoys it too. So, but we do really, really appreciate you. I know there's a lot of other things you could be spending your money on, so we appreciate you taking the time to support our channel and watch with us on days like this. And hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. We're going to be back on Tuesday night, but then we won't have videos next weekend for the holidays. So we'll take that next weekend off. And then we'll be back to our regular schedule. And we're not sure exactly what we're going to do at Christmas time. We may end up having to take 2 weekends off, but we're going to try to at least have some recorded stuff if we do that. So I'm just adding a little bit of bright white. You can kind of see where that really is kind of like popping those trees out. So just on a few of these, I'm putting like bright white on here to kind of help bring forward some of those branches. So I think that's good enough. All right. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.